Hello everyone! For today's video I wanted to do a semi-topic, just look at what I have really, video on the various supply items I have in the greenhouse and use in the greenhouse. So this will include a variety of things from fertilizers, liquids, additives, tools, and even some tricks that I use to keep the greenhouse running in regards to fertilizing schedule and watering and whatnot. So we'll start with some of the handhelds I have out in front here. I put the rest away, but I'll show you those as well. So I use these little floral snippers usually. I have two sets. This one is a newer set. This one's actually needing to be sharpened, so I've been using this one more. But I have two sets of floral snippers that I use for cutting spikes and flower stems and leaves off and anything like that. They're very good for that. I have a pair of scissors as well that I use for mostly cutting open bags and stuff, but also cutting through thicker stems and whatnot. I have a turkey baster that I use for like I say, I'm soaking my Schilleriana right here. Pull up water into it and just water it, or I can take some if I have too much and water the banana with it or something. But that's what that's for. It's for just distributing water and moving small amounts more easily. I have two sets of wire cutters. This one has a plier on the end of it as well, and this one's just the wire cutters. I need to clean off the rust. I learned a technique that I'm going to try and do, but they're fairly old sets. But I use those for cutting the wire that I have in the greenhouse, and the plier end for twisting wire and bending. And then I use Gorilla Glue for mounting orchids. That if I'm using it anyway. I don't have any. Actually I do. The Phalaenopsis cornucurvi right here is actually mounted with Gorilla Glue, and then the roots are starting to attach themselves on their own now. But Gorilla Glue for plants you're sure that you want to have mounted is actually a really good way to do it because it holds strong. It binds in moisture, so it actually doesn't mind being wet, unlike other glue. So Gorilla Glue and Crazy Glue, both really effective for attaching plants to the mount without using string or insane amounts of fishing line. A lot of my, when I like the smaller plants, and I do it with the bigger ones too in bigger trays, but like what the Schilleriana is doing right here, is I use these little 4-inch saucers from Lowe's. You pay like 20 cents for each of them, so it's not very much at all. And I use those to water the plants, and I'll set the plants in them, and then I'll water, and it'll sit in here, and then I'll wash it. I disinfect them after every time I use them, so that I don't transfer any diseases, and I usually stick to one per plant. So some plants don't have them, but some plants do have them. And you'll see up here, like both of these dendrobiums have them, as well as my bulbophyllum Wilbur Chang has a bigger one. And so this one's the one for the Schilleriana. This one is for my Ingraecium, actually. My Sesquipedale right there. And so I use those. I use various sizes of them. You'll see them on every now and then in the greenhouse as we go along. So over here as well, we've got, these are, I might be hearing the fan. These are just plastic tags. These are ID tags. I use my label maker to print on them, or I have a Sharpie if I need that. And then I've got, this is my wire. This is thick. I lost the tag for it, so I don't know how thick of a gauge it is. But I use this thick gauge, sturdy wire. Like here's the end of it. It's very sturdy to make hooks and stuff. And so like there's that's made of that wire. The hook on this plant, focus, is made of that wire. So if it's a hook or something, it's made of that wire. Then I have my label maker here. And looks like the last one I was making was my centropetalum, my Epidendrum centropetalum label. I've also got these little guys, and this is probably one of the messier areas for supplies, is I just kind of pile things on top of the electronics box. But it's a little disc puck light, and you normally can attach them to stuff, but I like to take them and, let's say like the Phalaenopsis over here. This is what it looks like without the light, and this is what it looks like with the light. And so they're just little, I can use them to look around a little bit better. or I'll try to hook it up here so I can look so things are a little bit brighter but at night. And I have a couple of those in here. And then there's the thermostat. So I keep a pad handy in case I need it for something. A cotton pad. There's a tree fern mount chunk. This is my TDS meter that I use for measuring the temperature and TDS of my water and my fertilizer mixture. I've also got a little tiny quarter teaspoon or half teaspoon scoop. This is another handheld light. This one's got two modes. It's got this little focused mode, and then it's got this more general bright mode. I've got a foam disc here that I use to cut out pieces of foam for adjusting flower spikes as they develop. And then I've got my media back there, my little trash cup. And then I forgot this one. This is a concentrate mixture of my fertilizer. I used a couple little saucers full of water and then mixed in a good amount of my fertilizer and whatnot. And so that's when I need to fertilize, I just squeeze some of that in there, and since it's already dissolved, I don't need to dissolve it more. Just give it a little bit of mix to make sure it gets around. This, and I need to label them, and I've been very bad about it. This one is rubbing alcohol. This is 91% rubbing alcohol, or 91% concentrate rubbing alcohol. I use this for sterilizing tools and stuff just a little bit more easily, like these. Just spray them a little bit. And the alcohol evaporates very easily and comes off, and it sterilizes the tools. This is a spray bottle with some distilled water in it. This is for watering like the dendrophylax seedlings mainly, but I also use it when the misters can't run because the hose is frozen outside. I use this every now and then to mist a little bit around the greenhouse, like if I do it right now. Oh, but it's on the wrong mode. Oh well. But yeah, that's what I use for that. Back heater. This is where I store my extra bales of moss. I've got my cork mount slab right there. I've got a bunch of these little containers. That one's empty right now. These are some extras. Styrofoam peanuts, orchiata bags, orchid clips. Then I've got some prepared moss that I change out from time to time and allow to dry so it doesn't get moldy or anything. Rubber bands. And what's this one? Oh, cotton pads. That's more cotton pads. And so these storage containers keep things dry in the greenhouse. That one that I just tipped over. There we go. I've got my water pump sprayer, as usual. It's got both my recipes on it. And I need to add a third one, actually, because I just got some Epsom salts that I'll look at in a bit. And I need to add a recipe label for that. So this is my normal fertilizer. It's 4 teaspoons of Bill's Best fertilizer, which is the kind I use, and then a teaspoon and a half of Plant Potion number 9, which I'll also show you the bottle for. And then I've got, this is 1.5 teaspoons Alliette, which is a fungicide, a systemic fungicide that I use from time to time just as a precaution. And I've got a bag of Epsom salt here. These are plain Epsom salts. Epsom salts can be used in like farm crops or like gardens or even orchids and like all sorts of plants, because one of the base elements in chlorophyll is magnesium, and so dissolving magnesium sulfate, which is Epsom salts, into water, actually when you use a small amount, you don't use a lot, will actually increase the amount of chlorophyll that the plant can have, and increase it helps them grow faster, basically. And then here, this is just a bale of dry moss in this container. I just reach in, or pull it out, reach in, grab a handful, and put it in whatever I'm using. And so that's just prepared dried moss. And then here's where my chemicals and stuff go. Got a spool of wool string, hydrogen peroxide, two more bottles of rubbing alcohol. This is 91%, this is 70%. See, the green label. This is my Osmocote. This is the Osmocote Plus. I use that for the top of moss of some orchids. I've got Blue Dawn dish soap. This is the original scent one. This is useful for if you use a little bit in like your fertilizer mixture, it helps break the surface tension. It helps everything mix better, and is perfectly harmless to use. as long as you use like a reasonable amount. Like I use literally like a drop or two, and that's enough. I've got a little bag here. These are the tags I use for labeling crosses, as well as a little bag with cinnamon in it for sealing plants. Here is my plant potion. The bottle's old, but plant potion number 9. It uses a teaspoon per gallon of water, and it is a concentrate of those like various minerals, like those right there: magnesium, iron, copper, manganese, zinc. You know, the works. And that's what that's used for. Is it's a supplement, because orchid media is very low in nutrients, typically. So I use it alongside the fertilizer to help give a lot more nutrients to the plants, the trace nutrients that they need. This is the fertilizer I use, Bill's Best Plant Encourager. You can order. If you guys are interested in getting some, and you've heard of Bill, that's where you get it from. That's his contact information. And there's my fishing line back there that sits under it. That stuff is phenomenal. I've been using that for 1.5 years now, and so it's definitely, I haven't been using it for like 20 years or anything like that, so I'm not going to make any tests to like super long-term periods. But I've had so many more spikes, blooms, and growths using this stuff. It's phenomenal. And if you've seen some of Bill's plants, he uses this stuff, and because it's his brand, and it's phenomenal. This is Aliette. I got this from a friend in Socorro, just south of me, because he bought a big bottle of it. It's not cheap. I got a couple things of more cotton pads. These are God, I can't talk. These are cotton rounds for makeup removal, but they are phenomenal for cleaning leaves and cleaning off pests from leaves. I've got a big thing of cotton balls here. These I use for wiping as well as in pollen vials, because the way I store pollen right now is I take an old medicine vial and I put cotton balls in it with a few silicone beads to help keep it safe and dry, and I put them in the fridge. And so that's what those are for. That's the Aliette again, cotton balls. There's this is black electrical tape. It's strong, rubbery, and attaches well, and does long enough for as long as they need it for. The bag with the cinnamon. I've got a gallon. I usually I have a couple more gallons inside, but I keep a gallon of distilled water inside the greenhouse at all times because I don't have a reverse osmosis system, so I don't have any way to really like make my own. So I can't invest in one yet. So I buy a gallon of distilled water every now and then. It's like 80 cents, so it's not very much at all. And it lasts me a while. I'll get a few weeks out of them. And then these are the cups I use for potting, or like potting seedlings, and for just general use. They're small little clear Dixie cups. Or I don't think they're Dixie, but I use those. These are the suet cages that I use for mounting some orchids. I can pop the top off and stuff it full of moss. But when I mount the plant, I cut various parts out. Like I'll cut like this section out, and then this section out, however the plant is arranged, and plant it in that way. And then I've got bamboo and skewers and stakes, a bunch of them. This is thin, cheap. I think I got it at Hobby Lobby. See if I can get some to come out. There we go. Just cheap little like flexible floral wire for supporting plants and making basket hangers. This old pot from my anosma, which I haven't taken out yet. I keep forgetting to take it down, but it's used. This is what makes up the hanging part of the basket, and then I've got that metal as the hook, or that metal thicker wire as the hook. And so that's a very effective way for me to make hanging baskets. And then I also have, these are old plates from my parents' old yard, like outdoor dining set that they decided to give to me to use in here. So these are old plates. I use these to, like, when I'm repotting and stuff, or draining orchids, I put them on here. These are just my collection of tags. Like, these are not tags of plants that have died. These are just tags of plants that I have when I replace the tags. Because as you may have noticed, I have uniform tags that I made with my label maker. And because I just like them better. So I just keep all the old tags here as a backup plan. But I've got a bunch in there. And then I've got some bowls as well from that same yard set. Those I just use for soaking bigger plants that I don't have extra trays for. I also forgot, and I have them here. I use cable ties, or outdoor zip ties. They're strong, sturdy, they're small ones. I use these for like attaching canes, and I can't find any examples of it here, shockingly. But I use it for like, oh, there's one here actually. It's an extra little, like, if I need a loop, an easier loop, I just use it like here to make that, or to attach, like you'd see one there on this old Nobly that I forgot to take the tag off of. That's I use them to secure tags for crosses. Like, the light's a little bad, but I don't have the hand light on me, I just put it down. But yeah, I use them to secure tags and stuff on crosses and just other pots as well. So yeah, that's about it for in here. That's basically everything I use. Occasionally I'll find use for something else, but more often than not, this is usually what I stick to. Rubber bands. Like, here's one of the rubber bands I had. Use these for like storing bags, as well as... What do I use these for? You know what? I'm having an on-camera blank right now. Oh yes, right here. This is my Dendrobium lodgesii. I use it to help if I don't want to use wire. I just, like, one rubber band usually holds the media down. This plant has actually already attached itself to the mount, so I don't need to secure the plant. I just use it to secure the moss a little bit longer. But yeah, so I use that for securing mounts a little bit, and it helps if I freshly mounted a plant. Like this one, I took it off on this one. This is my this is the Epidendrum. Come on, let's get that down, actually. The Epidendrum centropetalum. What I did originally is I put a rubber band around this, the moss and the plant, to help hold it down while I tied the fishing line on. And so I used fishing line to secure this one. And here's an example of zip ties again. There's two of the white zip ties that I had, making a little hanging spot a little bit farther down from the light. So yeah, that's for sure just about it. Nope, never mind. Ignore me. So something you guys should realize early on is I'm scatterbrained sometimes, to be honest. So I'll see things as I go along and remember that I forgot something. So here's one. This is it's a shampoo bottle. But what's in it, and as usual I didn't label it because I'm forgetful, but I remember what's in it. This is my leaf cleaning and pest wipe killing solution. It is a mixture of 50% purified or like distilled water, 50% rubbing alcohol, the 70% concentration, not the 91%, and then a couple drops, usually like a teaspoon or half a teaspoon, of the Blue Dawn dish soap. And this stuff is phenomenal for killing pests. It suffocates them, it dries them out, the alcohol dries them out, it evaporates cleanly because of the alcohol, and it doesn't leave any residue. That's what I use for wiping my leaves. I like this my Bellina here, I wipe the leaves with, and it looks like they're due for another one. But it keeps pests down, it kills pests that exist. I wiped down my catasetums with it, these two, the ones in the leaf, because they had spider mites not too long ago, and so I brought them inside, sprayed them down with the stuff, as well as wiped each leaf by hand, front and back, multiple times. And it was a couple weeks before I checked it over before it was decided that yes, I could bring these back into the greenhouse. So then they're safe and pest-free. So it's an all-purpose solution. It just cleans leaves very nicely. It wipes up the dust. So yeah, that's for sure everything this time. So if you guys have any questions about the supplies I use and any more questions about why I use them, or any other options if you don't have them around, and I'll do the best I can to help. Thank you everyone for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe and share this channel, because I could use your help getting out and about in the YouTube world. So thank you everyone for watching, and have a great night.